God of War Ragnarok is officially getting DLC and it's coming a lot sooner than any of us thought. Let's get into it. The Game Awards kicked off with an absolute banger this year, as one of the first big announcements was a brand new DLC for one of the biggest games of last year, God of War Ragnarok. And the best part? It's completely 100% free and it's coming on December 12th. That's right, just 4 days until we can once again dive into the world of the Norse gods all over again, and this time we're going to Valhalla. Rumours and supposed leaks around God of War Ragnarok's DLC have been flying around pretty much since Kratos and Atreus kicked off the end of the world last year, with some suggesting the first set of DLC will be something akin to a half sequel, similar to games like Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. So essentially a standalone expansion to the full game, and it looks like Valhalla is kind of that, except not really. Let me explain. You see, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla looks like it takes inspiration from the gameplay players saw in the Svartalfheim area of the first game. With a roguelike gameplay loop, it looks like Kratos will be ripping and tearing his way through endless waves of enemies as he grinds for higher tier loot and gear. And honestly, where better to play out a God of War roguelike where you repeatedly die over and over again to gain more power than the literal Norse afterlife where all warriors go to fight and feast for eternity. Obviously, those who finish the story of God of War Ragnarok will notice that Atreus isn't anywhere to be found in the trailer, but fear not, Kratos still has Mimir quipping from his hips, so there's still a friendly face to converse with. It's still not clear whether this free DLC will provide more story context that expands upon the ending of God of War, but it's likely to give us at least a little bit of insight into what Kratos has been up to. It's still not clear whether this free DLC will provide more story context that expands upon the ending of God of War, but it's likely to give us at least a little bit of insight into what Kratos has been up to since he freed Tyr and set off to live a new life after the events of Ragnarok. And at the very least, surely we're going to get a little more context to the role of the Valkyries and the Einherjar as we go around the Norse afterlife, right? The very brief trailer we got at the Game Awards shows a brief glimpse of Kratos rowing through the flooded ruins of the Valkyrie thrones, and seems to show off locations from across the realms that we got to visit in Ragnarok. So even though we'll apparently be fighting our way through Valhalla, clearly how the maps will be created are at least based on the foundations of the main games. And one final thing I found quite interesting is that we got a brief look at a couple of monsters Kratos will be fighting in the Valhalla DLC, including this guy, who looks like your bog standard depiction of a Cyclops. Now what's weird about that, you might ask? Well, the Cyclops is a Greek myth, not a Norse one. In fact, Norse mythology doesn't really have an exact equivalent to the Cyclops, so what gives? Are Kratos' Greek roots gonna play a role? Is his past somehow about to catch up with him? And is this a possible glimpse of where future DLC may go? Regardless, there's not long to wait until we find out more. It's releasing on December 12th, 2023. That's next Tuesday, and it'll be available to download for free for anyone who already owns the base game. And if you're looking for more news from the Game Awards like this, stick with us here at GG Recon and check out these videos here.